I'm going to show you how to make a very simple little interactive Excel data dashboard to look at survey data. Now, it's important you need to have categories because that's what's going to make the interaction interesting. You have to have different categories, and here we have gender, grade level. Those are different categories that the kids fall into. And then the survey questions were about what they like to do and what subjects in school they need help with. And then I have one Likert scale just for fun. Okay, now we're going to insert a pivot table. So make sure you're at the top. I need to scroll up, put the cursor right under the first heading there, and then go to Insert on the menu. Choose Insert Pivot Table. Okay, we're going to start with just one of the questions. And we'll use the question where the students were asked, what do they like to do in their spare time during COVID? And we want them over there in the values cell, but if we just check the box, they go into rows and we just pull them into the values. Make sure they're count because we want them counted. Do the little pull down menu if it's something else, like it could be doing the sum, and just make sure it's count. So pull them over there and see how they're just sliding in between wherever I drop them. If you don't like where they are, you can move them. That little pull down menu gives you the choice of move up, move down, move to the beginning, whatever. Okay, so now we did the count. So it counts the number of X's. And now we're going to add a slicer. So just click somewhere in your pivot table. And then on the menu, go to Pivot Table Analyze. And we're looking for Insert Slicer. And it is there in the filters because a slicer is really a filter. When you click on it, it gives you a list of all of your column headings over in the survey, the data that you made the pivot table from. And this is where your categories come in. We want a slicer for each one of the categories. So we've got gender, race, and grade. So choose a slicer. There you go. So these are your three slicers, one for each category in the survey. Race, gender, and grade. And let's move them. And let me show you how they work. If we click on 6, see how the numbers all changed? Those are for the 6th grade male and female, all of the races. You can click on one of the genders, and oh look, there are no Asian or 2 or more race female 6th graders, but the numbers all change to whatever combination of categories you're clicking on. And you can click any combination by holding down the control key. So if you want 2 grades at once, or all 3, hold down the control key, and you can pick any combination off of all the slicers. Now we want to make a dashboard that looks pretty and is easy to think about the data when you look at it. So copy just the headings out of this pivot table. Don't copy the numbers too, or you'll get another pivot table, just the headings. Now while they're still selected when you paste them, go to Replace, and I've already got count of space written there. When I graph this, I don't want it to say count of. So I replace all, made 7 replacements, and now I've got nice headings for the chart I'm going to make. And I want to graph percents instead of the numbers. So put a formula up here to get the sum, and then just select those numbers. Because when you use your slicers, those numbers are going to change. So you need formulas. Now here, you have to write a formula for each one. Equals, click on the number, divided by, click on the sum. Equals, click on the number, divided by, click on the sum. And you have to do it. Normally you could pull that formula across, but with pivot tables you can't. You have to actually write each one separately. Oh, look at that. I've made this data up. This is all fake data, as always, and I didn't put an X in that column. Maybe I'll do that so our chart looks better. So click on the number, divided by, click on the sum until you've got this done. Click on the number. You always start with the equals for a formula. Equals the number over, click on the cell. Equals the number divided by, click on the sum. And then check it. If you select them all, look down here, it gives you the sum. The sum is 1. So that's a good indication. Just always check everything because you never know when you're making mistakes. So now the sum is 100%. I changed it to percents. Okay, let me show you how the slicers work with what we just made with these formulas. The pivot table is being driven by those slicers, and the table we just made is connected to the pivot table. So as you choose different choices in the slicers, see how what we are going to graph changes? The percents that we set up, because they're connected to the pivot table and it changes with the slicers. So we're going to use these and make a dashboard on a different page. So we want to select what we're going to graph, go up to Insert, and insert a chart. We'll just take the recommended chart. You can do whatever you want, whatever kind of chart you want. And now let's fix the chart up. And remember, when you're making a dashboard, people are going to interact with it. You want it to look good. So let's just fix this up a little bit. Let's see, right-clicked in the wrong place. There we go, format the chart area. And I'm looking for, lock that aspect ratio, because with pivot tables, when things blow up, you don't want your chart to blow up. Round those corners. And then let's put the data labels. At the end. And now that we've got data labels, we can get those busy lines out of there. So delete those. We don't need the scale at the bottom. And now let me show you how to make a title. You can put a dynamic title in a chart by referring to a cell. So we want to create a title that's going to give us the N, because the N changes as you click on the different slicers. So let's put the label for what this is how students spend their free time. And now let's write a formula to combine that with what the N that we get in cell A2. So we want what we just wrote, then ampersand, quote, space, N equals space, quote, and click in that cell. And now when you click on chart title, go up into the formula bar. You have to do it in the formula bar or it doesn't work. Equals, and then click in that cell where we just wrote the title formula. Now that title will be dynamic when you click on the slicers. See how it changes when you choose different choices on the slicer? And now we are going to use this on a different page to make a nice looking dashboard. Okay, let's add a page where we're going to put our dashboard. So click on the little plus sign, get a page, and let's name it. Double click there and you can rename the tab. So we'll name this dashboard. And hold down the Shift key and select each of the slicers and your chart. And you can either cut them and then paste them, or copy and then paste over to here. So I paste and pull them up where you can see them. And now we just have to make this look pretty. And you can do that any way you want. I'll show you how you change how things look. And you can also make another pivot table and generate a chart from it and connect these same slicers to it so that you can see a lot of the results for different groups, and you'll have a dashboard. Now you want to make the dashboard look nice after you get the formula part done. And so arrange it in some way that is pleasing. Maybe we'll put these at the top. And when you have a slicer selected, there's a slicer menu. And see, we can make that 2 columns if we want. Maybe we don't want to have it go down so far, so let's make it 2 columns, adjust the size, bring these over, and let's align them so they're aligned evenly at the top. So select all 3 of them and see up there in the range, align top, and maybe move the chart up a little bit or change the spacing. And now on the slicer menu, you can choose different packaged ways that you want the slicer to look. There's different colors they give you there. Or you could make a custom one. And I made this custom one because I'm working with a school that was their colors. Their colors are brown and black. So I use their colors, and see, it's very easy to do. You just right click and you can modify, and it lets you modify one thing at a time. What do you want the header to look like? What do you want the selected data to look like? And then you just choose the different things, the fonts, the borders, the fills. And there's the color. Click on more colors. There's the formula for their color. I got it off their website with an eyedropper. Or a lot of times you've got a branding kit. So I got that all set up the way I wanted it to look. And then you just click. It's a choice once you've made a custom way. And now we want the chart to match. I think that font is Montserrat. So let's change the font to match. It's out of their branding kit, how they want it to look. So we'll change that. And now let's change those blue bars. I have to go get the color. Right click on it so you can get to the modifications. And now I just need to find the color. Okay, choose something there, with data. If you click on more colors, you can get the formula there for this color. So I just select it and then close all this. And then select the bars. I could have filled it right there, but I didn't. So come over here, just change. I've already got the color in there because I've been playing with it. But otherwise you would put it in the more colors and just paste it in, like right there. And now you've got it started. I'm going to shrink how that looks. And as I said, you can now make another pivot table, make another chart, connect it to these same slicers, and bring it over here. And then you can look at different data with the slicers at the same time, and you'll have a very simple little dashboard. Now, to make another chart that's going to be connected to the same slicers, copy the pivot table. I'm having trouble copying it. There we go. Select it. Copy, paste. And then over here, uncheck the boxes because we want this pivot table to be something else. But by doing the copy, paste, these slicers are going to be connected to this new chart we're going to make. So here we're going to select the courses that the kids want help in. And then we slide them, do the exact same thing we did before. Slide them over there. And then we're going to set up a graph. Okay, I just did the exact same steps so you wouldn't have to watch me do them. Got the title up there, the formula for the title, and then I made this chart and fixed it to look like the others. And see, now it is connected to the slicers. And if you right click on a slicer, part of the menu that comes up is report connections. You can connect it to any of the pivot tables that you have on the other page, and the pivot tables generate the charts so you can control what affects what. Now, I didn't want to make this too complicated, but these were mark all that apply. So N is not the number of students, it's the number of selected items. We could have divided by the number of students by setting up another pivot table connected to the slicers, but I didn't want to make it that complicated. So let's just change the heading to say number of selected items, because it's not percent of students, it's percent of selected items.